I'd like to introduce you to Hello Hopeless.
Hi.
We have bass player. Introduce yourself.
My name is Garrett. I play bass and I sing.
And
I'm Nathan. I play guitar and I sing. And we're kind of missing our drummer right now. His name's Will.
so without Will, you guys are going to have to speak for him today. Are you okay with that?
Fun.
We do it all the time. He's the drummer. We speak for him all the time.
So-
Drummers
don't speak.
Drummers are to be seen and not heard.
My first question for you guys is just the name, Hello Hopeless. Where'd that come from? Is there a story, anything?
It's kind of just based off of like deep human emotions and stuff like that.
Connecting with your audience, you hope?
There was a little bit. I think there was a little bit more that went into it, at least from my point of view. Just because we were all in kind of bands before this.
Yes.
So we wanted to find a name that would kind of represent the past a little bit, as well as like trying to achieve something still. So it's like Hello Hope. Like we're all kind of like hopeless individuals. So like we're kind of welcoming it. I don't know. It's kind of the idea.
Think of an individual like greeting an emotion.
All right. Well, speaking
That sums it up better than mine.
speaking of the past, I understand you guys have quite a few past releases out there. What have you guys put out so far?
Actually, well, I wouldn't say we have a lot of releases. We put out a self-titled EP last year. It was just 5 songs. We recorded, mixed, and mastered it ourselves. And
Let's kind of get some stuff on the table, get some music out there, just trying to get at least a little bit of notice or.
we didn't want to be that band that starts playing a whole bunch of shows and doesn't have any music to share with people. So
And you'll have some music to sell to the people shortly, I understand.
some more
Music to sell. There's already some to sell, but
Some new music to sell is
New
what I
music,
meant to
yes.
say.
We are very excited about it. We have a new EP coming out.
November 23rd. It's released digitally, and November 30th it comes out on like hard copies.
Now that's actually really interesting to me personally. Anyone who follows me knows that I only buy music physically, but it's not always the most popular thing. So what made you guys decide to invest in CD?
I'm like you. I prefer to buy my music in hard copy.
Yeah.
I feel like as a local band, you have to have something to sell at a show, like some sort of material for people to come up. And whether it's a T-shirt, a CD, wristband, stickers, we just always kind of like the idea of having an actual physical copy of the CD.
I like the way you guys think.
The other thing too is if you go to a show without a CD, you always get asked for a CD, and you don't have
That's
any.
when it happens. They're all like, "Hey, do you have a CD?" Oh no, I didn't bring them.
That's encouraging to me, the fact that people actually do ask about buying a physical product.
Yeah, but when you have them there, they never ask.
No, we have sold a few over the past little while, so that's good when we play some shows.
Yeah.
Now, I've been trying to twist some arms here and find out the title of the new CD, but you don't have a title yet?
Oh, we
Is
do.
it- oh, you do?
Have a title.
It's called Dark Pasts, Brighter Futures.
All right.
And it's sort of the same idea of the band name Hello Hopeless. Sort of it kind of sums up kind of stuff we've gone through the past year.
And it basically drags you through a whole whirlwind of different emotions, but it ends on a happy note.
Is it a concept album?
No, not
we're
really.
not.
Well, you guys are basically, would you call yourselves a punk rock band?
Yeah, I'd say
Yes.
so.
I know when I heard the initial tunes that I have heard, my first thought was, it sounds like Blink-182, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying it's derivative or what have you, but that was the immediate obvious influence that I heard. What else influences you guys? What makes you write?
There's 2 that come to mind when we think of ours, mostly, at least more so this new EP than the previous one. And it's
Sum 41 of
Sum-
Rise Against.
yeah.
And you know what? When we play shows and people say, "Oh, you remind me of," it's always a new name. There is always a new name, but that's actually really awesome.
That is a
because
good thing.
If people are hearing all sorts of these different bands, then that means that we've really started to make something good.
yeah,
So
we've heard everything from Alexis on Fire to A Day to Remember to Blink to
Paramore, if it was a man.
yeah.
That's interesting. Paramore of all bands. So the new album, is it an album or is it an EP?
it's an EP. It's 6 full-length songs with a 56-second intro.
So it's defined as an EP because it's under half an hour?
Yeah, it's under half an hour and less than 10 songs.
Well, I think that's still pretty good value for the money, considering that many Van Halen albums were under half an hour long. So, your EP is still going to be probably longer than a Van Halen album.
Yeah, we spent a lot of money on it, so it's we're gonna be selling the hard copies for $10. I think it's reasonable.
Except now that you're on film saying that, if you jack it up, people will.
Oh, it won't come up. If anything, it'll come down.
The official release party / gig, is that the Boathouse gig that's coming up?
That
Correct.
is the Boathouse, November 30th. That's a Friday. We are going to be playing at 10 p.m., but we are bringing some really great bands to join us. We've played with one of them before. They're called Antisocial Surf Club. They're from the Kitchener-Waterloo area. Great band. And we're also bringing some newcomers to Kitchener. So we've got Another Crush, an alt-rock band from Hamilton, and Pioneer Anomaly, a space punk band.
Space punk?
Yeah, from Toronto.
Well, that sounds pretty cool. What time would you show up if you wanted to catch every band?
I think we're going to start music at like 8 o'clock. Yes.
So that's at the Boathouse in Kitchener and Victoria Park, which I've heard is a great venue.
We love it. It's actually one of our favorite venues to play.
You've played there before.
It's my favorite place to play in the area.
So what have you guys done for gigs? From the beginning of the band.
We got
Our first show was at Maxwell's show.
Maxwell's Concerts and Events.
Really?
They were doing an indie music night, so we were able to.
We actually played with a band out from Winnipeg.
Really?
So, wasn't
They were
it?
from Winnipeg?
The headlining band, weren't they from Winnipeg?
I don't remember.
Or am I thinking 2 years ago? Last time I played Maxwell at Maxwell's show.
You've played at Maxwell's more than once.
Yes.
In a previous band, yeah.
In a previous
we were
band.
members before.
I
Anyway,
see.
Yeah, so that was a really cool show to play and to get everything out. So it was nice to see a whole lot of people who we hadn't seen in a while out supporting us and releasing our first CD at that point. And since then, most of our shows have been in Kitchener-Waterloo, like the Boathouse being a big one. But we also played Hamilton for the first time this summer at a festival. And
Canada Day Festival.
yes, it was. It was hot as balls.
It was a very hot day, but it was very enjoyable. It was very cool to actually be kind of a part of something.
I've seen some of your live clips, and it looks like you guys put on quite an energetic show. Is that how you would describe it?
Yeah, when you're first performing and learning how to perform, you're like really timid and everything like that, and then eventually you just get to the point where you're like, no, I'm just gonna give it. And if I screw up, then it doesn't matter because I'll just keep a smile on your face and just keep rocking out, and everyone just enjoys it anyway.
It seems that people do respond.
Yeah, and one thing that we've also really liked to do is we like to, whether it's him telling the lamest dad joke he knows, or making comments at each other or jabs at each other if something happens during the set. Like, we like to have fun with it and make jokes. And
So hold on, you guys will, in between songs, tell jokes in between songs?
oh yeah. Or we'll make fun of each other. If one of us makes a mistake in a song, we'll roast the other person.
So-
if it's a clear enough mistake,
Right.
If it's one that everybody knows that happened, you're like, dude, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah, you stop and just say, hey, good job, man.
So this is interesting to me. I mean, you guys are talking about more of a serious theme regarding the album title and the band name, but yet you guys go up on stage and you are not afraid of goofing around.
no.
Yeah, but who wants to be sad all the time?
It's a good point.
The sad part is only for the music to get it out, and then it's about being happy because it's over and done with, and you're past it.
from what I've heard about from the music, it's not. I wouldn't describe it as sad. There's
It's-
aggression in it. There's a lot of melody.
It's angsty.
It's
It's
very
angsty.
It's very angsty in melody, and that's kind of the vibe that we kind of went for from the start. But that's even from our first EP. So for like musical influences, I would say, we like a lot of like J-pop. So kind of the melodies and kind of like
More complex instrumentals.
highs and lows of songs and kind of like a cool flow, but also like the heavier side, because I grew up in like a metal background, so I love like a guitar solo or a guitar riff or like chugging guitars and stuff like that.
I was gonna say I heard a guitar solo on one of the tracks.
There's a guitar solo on like almost every track.
Right on. So this is really not a typical pop punk extravaganza. This is a little different.
It's honestly, I would say it's more of it's a fusion of like J-pop and metal and rock and there's
It's a
obviously,
little bit
there's
of
obviously
everything.
punk in there, but I wouldn't confine it to just one thing.
I can
Different
honestly
people
say I've
hear
never
different
heard
things.
that group of influences before in one sentence. So that's pretty cool.
You can hear them on November 30th
At the Boathouse in Kitchener,
at the Boathouse in Kitchener.
in Victoria Park. Yeah. So after that, what gigs do you have lined up?
So actually, before that, we have Hamilton November 25th. I think it's not an official release, but we're hoping to have at least some hard copies there.
You'll have the downloadable.
It'll be online.
Music
It'll be
will
online
It'll
before
definitely be
that.
online. We're just hoping to have maybe some hard copies at that show. And then we have December 7th in Toronto, and we're already booking into January 2019. So
Fantastic. And how far have you gone adrift from the Kitchener-Waterloo area? It's Toronto's and Hamilton as far as you've gone?
this will be our first time going to Toronto. So Hamilton's as far as we've gone. So we're spreading our wings.
Where do you guys see yourselves in a year, maybe? Or two?
That's a good question.
It's a really good question.
What is this, an interview?
See, like this is almost like a not make or break, I guess, for this release of this EP. But I always have to see where everything goes.
We specifically have been putting a lot more hard work and finances and everything into this EP because we want to just see how far we can make this one go. And I mean, in a year's time, I can tell you where I'd like to be, but I can't tell you where I think I'm going to be.
I know sonically it sounds fantastic, so you've got to be really proud of it.
Yeah, it was really interesting. You know, we recorded everything ourselves in the basement, and we sent it to our friend Zach at Skytrack Studios in Cambridge for the mixing and mastering, and he just brought it to a whole new level. And I couldn't have been happier with the result.
Is there anything on there that you would change? Or is it too soon for that question?
I ended up writing some extra, like a slightly different bass part for one of our songs in there, and I play it that way at practice and live now, and I'm just like, oh man, if I could go back. But you know what? The EP itself is good. And,
I don't feel like I've changed anything. We spent so long kind of in a transition mode over the spring and summer, I guess, both.
trying to finish writing it. Yeah.
Like just solely writing the EP and trying to perfect it. It even got to the point where right before we started tracking, we weren't happy with how one of the songs sounded, and we basically tore it down and rebuilt it from the ground up.
We had already recorded the
And-
drums, and we said, let's start over.
Yeah.
And we didn't redo the drums. We rewrote the song.
Yeah. And then we had to make our drummer retrack the drums and to reset up everything to redo the drums because we felt like it didn't fit with the rest of the album, but we kept the same kind of idea and the same concept and some of the same, I guess, like melodies and guitar riffs and stuff like that, but changed where stuff was placed.
Now it's like one of our favorite songs.
What have you learned this time out that you're going to bring into your next EP or album?
Money.
Save a little more first.
So
That's still a lesson. I mean, you have an idea of what things cost now if you want to get things to sound a
like
certain way.
It definitely hit once kind of everything was getting wrapped up, and then we're like, okay, now we
we're
gotta
like, so
now we gotta push printing, we gotta push.
How much does the artwork cost? When is the and trying to combine all these deadlines and select an actual release date gets tricky. I mean, you can wait until it's over and then go ahead and book something, but we wanted to plan the show ourselves, so we had to start working. Everyone that we were working with were like, this is when we want this done by. When can you have this ready for us so that we can move to the next step? And
So we're gonna go. So maybe next time have a little more preparation.
give ourselves a little more room. Yeah.
I think that's something you hear a lot with a lot of bands. I wish we had a little bit more preparation time.
Yeah. The other thing
But stuff happens because it's funny because if we would have been way more on time and we actually wanted when we started writing the EP and started getting ready for recording,
We wanted it
hoping-
out in October.
We wanted an October release, but having to rewrite an entire song kind of set us back a little bit.
But it'll probably be worth it in the long run. I mean, it is if you're happier with the song.
It's
Absolutely.
awesome.
But you can put the
Oh, we love
original
it.
version on the B-side of a single, right?
No, the original version's been destroyed.
Really?
We didn't even record guitars for it.
Oh.
It didn't make it that far. We kind of had new. It was on the fence before while we were recording it because it was a bubble song originally.
We didn't know if we were going to drop it.
So it was potentially the difference between a 6-song EP versus a 7-song EP, and then we decided to keep it on anyway. And then we weren't happy that we kept it on, so we reworked it.
You know what? If you're not happy with something,
Yeah.
work on it till you're happy with it.
Or drop it.
Yeah.
Or drop it. Don't put something out that you're gonna sit there and go, I don't like the song on the CD or I don't like the song on the EP. If you don't like it, don't put it on.
Why don't we close it off? Do you guys have a social media account that fans can check out?
We have a few. So Hello Hopeless is on Facebook, on Instagram. You can find us on Spotify with our first EP, and this new one will be up as well for November 23rd. So you can hear all the new songs before the official release and know all the words. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
We're not on everything. Actually, we have a
We're on
Bandcamp
YouTube.
as well, YouTube, and
it all just goes as Hello Hopeless.
MySpace though.
no, no MySpace. I know
Joe, I
Twitter.
just had a great idea.
I know Twitter. I don't like Twitter.
Well, that's fair.
You don't need Twitter anymore.
Well, thank you so much, Garrett and or Nathan. I should say Nathan and Garrett, since that's the way they're seated.
Guitarists, they get all the credit.
Guitarists get all the credit, bassists. But thank you so much, Hello Hopeless, for showing up here today and drinking some coffee and talking about some music.
Thanks
I
for
look
having
forward
us.
to seeing you guys on the 30th.
Thank you.
Any last words?
Come check us out.
Rock out with your.
Don't do it.
That's what she said.